In light of recent news, it pains us to announce that Chadwick Boseman of Black Panther fame has died. Boseman passed Friday, August 28, 2020. His team released a statement late Friday evening confirming the actor's death, and due to our current scheduling, we were not able to mention this in our first episode. We did, however, want to honor Chadwick and pay our respects to his family and friends that were close to him. We also wanted to offer our deepest sorrow to fellow fans. Chadwick Boseman was a stellar actor who personified what it meant to bring integrity to the craft. Chadwick, thank you for your contributions not only to the MCU and film, but as a leader in life and a true gentleman. You will be missed greatly by us fans all around the world. Rest in peace.
Welcome to the first ever episode of Just an Afterthought. I am your host, Bree Valentina, aka Bucky Barnes' #1 fan.
And I am Jimmie Smalls, and I'm just here for America's ass.
Ooh, I like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And today we're going to be talking about, I guess we should just kind of briefly go over what this podcast is.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, we're going to be watching movies. We're going to talk about them movies. We're going to talk about those movies.
Them movies.
And just kind of give you our review on them all.
Our
we're starting off
if you will.
What?
I said our perspective, if you will.
Oh, yes, our perspective. Yes, yeah. We're starting off with Marvel because... So we're going to watch all of the Marvel movies from the MCU.
Yeah, but it's something special because we're going to watch them in order of the storyline. So we started off with Captain America, the First Avenger.
Yes, which came out in 2011. It's technically the 5th movie in the cinematic universe.
The MCU.
The first one that we watched.
Yeah.
First one in chronological order. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
I'm excited.
I am too.
And we decided that we were going to start with Marvel because I could not remember a single thing about the first Captain America movie.
Well, let's be real about how this really started, Bree.
Oh, no.
Okay. Are you going to tell it or do you want me to tell it?
You can tell it.
So, Bree has just become aware of a certain actor named Sebastian Stan. And let's just say she doesn't stan.
I do stan.
No,
what are you talking about?
I don't know, Bree. Like, you kind of hate him. I don't blame you, but a spade. We got to call a spade. You know what I mean? Like, we just got to be real about it.
Yeah, I don't hate him. Also, too. Sorry, apologies. We're doing this podcast over Zoom or over 2 different computers in FaceTime. So there might be some background noise. This is real trial and error in the first couple of episodes.
It's gonna be a little messy.
It's gonna be a little hit or miss, but I guess they never quit, huh?
But we just want. I mean, I feel like this has been years in the making. So
yeah,
we're just doing it. We're just going with.
Yeah, this is a side note. We had a podcast before that we tried to start, and we did like 3 episodes, and then we were just like, it was fun, but. You know, I think we also didn't have any execution when it came to it, and now we're doing this. And
we didn't have a direction, but
yeah, now we have a direction.
And I mean, Quarantina definitely helped.
Quarantina, I like that.
I love Quarantina. Anyway, she's my homegirl.
She is. She's been all right. She's been somewhat kind.
She's given me an excuse to stay at home and hide in my room. So.
Oh yeah, everyone loves that. Brings out the best in us. But anyway, back to the subject. I do not hate Sebastian Stan. He's probably a great guy.
I mean, I know he's been a little problematic in the news lately, but
if anybody even knows, let's be real. Okay, this is gonna sound mean, and I don't hate on him, but I don't think anybody really cares about what he's doing.
I really don't. I really don't either.
To an extent, I care to an extent just because it was
prevalent to you in that moment. Yeah. And it was like very hypocritical.
So that's why I was like, ugh. But I don't hate him at all. He's very handsome. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, or brings out anything to him. I don't but I don't hate him. I think in this movie he was very, and we talked about this when we were watching it. He's very wooden, very like, you said something, now here's my response. It felt like just kind of spitting out the lines that he was supposed to say.
Agreed.
But
very much agree.
I don't remember him in any of the other movies, like at all. So maybe it's just that was his portrayal of Bucky, 1940s Bucky. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I feel like for the introduction of this character, could have been more powerful, yes. And I think they had a lot to do in this first Captain America movie that they really couldn't, like, I don't think they could have given him the credit he deserved, especially because also, but at this point, I don't think Marvel was really sure if they were gonna have these, like, franchise movies. This was something totally new for them and kind of new for superhero movies in general. Like, they very much were the patriarchs of the current comic book movie, you know, trope, if you will, or like structure. So, you know, I don't even think they were sure if they were going to do the Winter Soldier and introduce his character, trying not to spoil as much as possible. But if you haven't seen it by now, but I think for what he was given and the circumstances of everything else, like, you know, he can only do so much. He's just a human without an arm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe a little stinky.
Maybe a little stinky. No, absolutely. And I totally get that. Like, especially if you're not sure where a franchise is going and you're given a role, and you're like, okay, I don't know how to play this because I don't know where my character is going to be, if there's going to be more movies for the character. I don't know if they were told maybe, hey, we have a certain movie amount that we want you to sign on for. Because I know they do that sometimes.
Yeah.
And maybe he didn't even know if Captain America was going to be part of that movie deal.
Yeah,
like, hey, we're going to sign you on for 5 movies. Yeah. Like, hey, we're going to sign you on for 5 movies, but there's no guarantee that Captain America is going to be is going to be more than just one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't know. I felt like watching it, it was like, oh, okay. I think Bucky's probably more. There's also so much that you can do in an introduction movie, like how much backstory you can give these characters, and he's technically not the focus of the movie. Mm-hmm. So it's not like Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, the movie, you know, where it's solely focused on him, you know, and his and whatnot. It's more about Steve, and it's more about how he became this figure. Yeah. How he became the captain. So, you know, I kind of get to like, hey, I'm not really the main character, but you know, I don't know. I think that it was very much like kind of a little bit of a disappointment, because I would have loved to see more of maybe their relationship. And he was just kind of like there, and what interaction they did have just felt like very like, oh, come on, man, you could do better than that. Oh, come on.
But to digress, I think we should just move on to the movie.
Mm-hmm. Enough about Sebastian Stan.
Enough about Mr. Stan.
Enough about Bucky Barnes. I know, but I might cut that audio. I might cut that out and make it short. But just as a side note, just in case I decide to mess with the audio a little bit. Just as a side note, I don't hate Sebastian Stan. I think he's probably a great guy. He's an okay actor. Just, he was wooden. It just didn't give me the camaraderie that you're expecting from two characters. The motivation wasn't there for you. Yeah, from the two characters of Bucky and Steve. But, you know, who knows? Maybe it'll change in the other movies.
That's fair.
Who knows?
That's fair.
Yeah. All right. So, just a couple of facts about this movie. So, it was directed by Joe Johnston, and it was written by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely.
Okay.
Obviously, we know that it stars Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, aka Captain America.
The infamous captain.
The infamous. What, infamous? Infamous is kind of a negative, right?
Well, like, I don't know. I guess it depends on who you're asking.
That's true. Yeah, if you ask Hydra, it's the infamous Captain America. But it also has Tommy Lee Jones, Hugo Weaving, Haley Atwell, my boy Sebastian Stan, Dominic Cooper, Neil McDonough, I apologize if I mispronounced that, Derek Luke, and Stanley Tucci.
Wow.
And it's set, yeah, right. It's set during World War II, where Steve Rogers is transformed into the super soldier Captain America, and he's got to stop Red Skull from world domination.
Yes.
Pretty much, if you haven't seen the movie and you don't know about Captain America, now you do. So a couple of facts, and you can interject if you have more facts.
Lit.
But I found this fact while I was researching the movie a little bit, just to kind of give some facts, to give some weight to this podcast a little bit. Sebastian Stan, my boy, Bucky Barnes, he actually auditioned to play Captain America.
I could see that.
So he auditioned. And I watched a quick video where the casting director was like, yeah, he auditioned to play Captain America, but we saw this darkness in him. And we thought that would be suited for Bucky instead of Captain America. So we cast him as Bucky. So maybe
they were already
so
plotting.
maybe they did know that. Yeah, maybe they thought, oh, hey, if this movie takes off, he's going to be Bucky, and we have a storyline for Bucky.
Yeah, like definitely plan ahead. Like even if it's not going to work out, or But
absolutely. And then it's the last Marvel movie. Sorry, I burped. It is the last Marvel movie to be distributed by Paramount Pictures.
Huh,
and I don't know who distributes Marvel movies now.
Well, I mean, it's all just Disney.
Yeah, but is it like Buena Vista or is it just straight Disney?
Well, I mean, Disney owns Buena Vista now.
Yeah, but no, that's true. But I didn't know if it was like distributed under like Buena Vista or if it's just Marvel Studios and Walt Disney Company.
I think it's Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company. Like Marvel Studios, because like after that, Marvel Studios, set up shop. They were like, okay, like we're doing this because like Disney bought them and all that stuff, all that jazz. And from there, they were like fighting for rights for like other movies, getting the rights back and things like that. And, after a while working out the deals with, Sony for Spider-Man. And
yeah, which then they just, what was it? Last year they had an issue with Spider-Man? Again, Sony was like,
There was a little bit of an issue, but I think that should wait probably for Spider-Man 1 or 2. For
Spider-Man, yeah. But I've, since we brought up Sony, anyway, so to the movie, getting to the meat of this podcast.
That good old American grade A beef.
That grade A beef, baby. So from my initial reaction of not knowing to now knowing, I don't want to say everything, but from watching it, my opinion has changed. My thoughts, I can form like if someone was to ask me my opinion on the movie, I could give it.
Okay.
And I guess I should. I
think so. I mean, that's why we're here.
Yeah, that's why we're putting.
Sorry,
this all
I'm like
together.
super teasing you, but like, I think just because like you're so you're pretty much fresh to this, so like it's just fun like hearing your perspective now because these movies have kind of been out for a while now, and there's some time between since I first seen them to when like hearing someone else who's first seen it.
Absolutely too, and you are more of a Marvel fan than I am.
Yeah.
Like, I can appreciate them at face value as like, oh, they're like fun superhero movies. And you can be like, no, like there's so much more to this story than that. Whereas like if I was to watch a DC movie with like a Batman movie, I think I'd be like, oh no, there's so much more. Like they have the character and they really develop the character and put a fresh take on it that's different from the comic, but still saying true sort of thing. So it's fun to see kind of like the switch. And to like, I'm not that big of a fan and you are, so it's fun to get that different perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we watched the movie. And I thought it was good. There were moments where it felt very quick. Mm-hmm. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, I feel like they had to rush through some things, and that kind of like took away from the character dynamics and the interactions, especially with Captain America and his team.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get it. You know, you can only put so much in a 2-hour superhero movie. So
yeah, it for me, like there, like towards the end too, it felt really rushed. And I was sitting there and I was like, wow, this is fast. Like I felt like they took a lot of time, which I get, it's an origin story, so I guess that makes sense. They took a lot of time introducing these characters and like building Steve up and like building this relationship between him and Peggy, only for it to kind of just like be like, oh, okay, well, that's it. Like, I don't
Bye.
know. Yeah, like it felt very rushed, and like I don't know. I would have liked to see more of like he rescues Bucky, and then like it's like, oh, now we're fighting together, and like we're taking down Hydra, and I would have liked to see maybe more interaction of him.
Some
taking
more
down
intimate
Hydra.
moments between what I call the boyfriends.
The boyfriends. I heard that their ship name is Stucky.
Yes. The internet, specifically Twitter and Tumblr, have latched on to Stucky in a way that not only that I appreciate, but that can be a little bit obsessive.
Well, that you're describing pretty much all fan culture, I think, is obsessive.
You're not wrong, but most of them have great hearts. I actually know a few Stucky hands. Wow, I can talk. Stucky fans personally. Stucky stands. I don't like that.
Stucky stands.
But they technically are stands. But I know a couple of them personally, and I can tell you, like, they have just the biggest hearts, and all they want is for these two boys to just be in love like they should be. But, you know, I feel like growing up in the 1940s is hard.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to be who you truly are in the 1940s.
We're going to get off topic a lot, just so you guys know. Be ready for that.
Yeah.
We're going to go on some rants and some
we do.
strong tangents.
We went on a rant about Sebastian Stan, where we just talked about him for a little bit.
That was almost like 5 minutes of us just talking about your love and admiration for Sebastian Stan.
I mean, yeah, it was funny because we would watch the movie and I'd make a comment about Sebastian, or not even, it wasn't even about Sebastian Stan himself. It was just about Bucky. And you're like, wow, you really hate him. And I was like, I do not hate him. I don't. I'm
sending you that Snow White gif every time. Just like, haters gonna hate.
I don't hate him. I don't. Maybe if they would have like really dived into the relationship of Steve and Bucky in terms of like their friendship and growing up. Like I told you, who was it? Oh, when Peggy and Steve are having their like final moment. And she's like crying and she's like, you know, you better not be late. Like, we're supposed to have this dance. I was like, this felt more heartbreaking than to see Bucky fall off a train, which I shouldn't be laughing, but he fell off a train and it didn't make me feel anything.
Really? Because like there's that whole part where he's sitting in that, like, literally the bar's burnt down from the air raid, and he's sitting in there and he's trying to get drunk because he's just in his emotions. Can we cuss on here? Are we bleeping out cussing, by the way?
I mean, I can.
I think that'd be more funny. I feel like bleeping out cusses are like the best thing ever.
Okay, I'll add a SpongeBob, like the
I love that. But you know, like, he just wants to like just dive into his feels, and he can't even get drunk.
Yeah.
Like, that to me is like that to me like brings a tear to my fucking eye. Like, I mean,
yeah, it was heartbreaking, but I didn't feel like nothing in terms of like that angst of like, you're gonna miss this first. Like there was no angst for me in that scene. Like I felt bad. I genuinely was like, you know, he just kind of got his friend back and he's, you know, fighting alongside him like he always wanted. But I don't know. I think if they would have dived more into their relationship a little bit, in terms of like maybe shown them growing up together and like Steve, because, you know, he mentions like, yeah, I was always getting into fights and like, you know, and fighting for them. And I think, didn't Bucky say like, hey, I was always fighting with you or something like that?
Yeah.
There was something where he like meant, he was like, yeah, and I was always there to like save you.
Like back you up.
Yeah, back you up. Like it would have been fun to see them growing up a little bit.
I mean, there's a scene, like they show that scene of like Steve fighting that dude behind the movie theater and then like Bucky coming to like rescue him.
Yeah, but I think it would have been like
just, I feel like it's there. Maybe it's not enough. Like maybe I'm just reaching. But
maybe you feel more that way because you have more of a history with the movies than I do.
Yeah.
Like I'll be honest, I've seen Winter Soldier. Do I remember anything that happened to that movie? No, but what I do remember was like the interactions with Steve and Bucky didn't, and we'll talk about this again when we watch Winter Soldier, but like though that interaction just didn't feel like long lost pals. I don't know, like maybe I think they should have dived into it a little bit more. Even with like Steve and Peggy, you saw more of a progression in their relationship. Like you saw her kind of appreciate him as like this skinny young dude, and then he becomes Captain America, and you know, she's seen that he's always had this in him, and she's, you know, seen that he's, you know, willing to lay down his life for his country and no matter what size, and fight for the little guy. And I think that shows like character progression, you know, at least like no matter what size, you know, whether he's a skinny dude or whether he's big buff Captain America's ass, you know, that fondness for him has always been there. And with Bucky and Steve, I don't know, I just felt like we were just jumping into their relationship. Like, oh, you should know that they've been best friends. And so I don't, but too, maybe my opinion will change again once we watch Winter Soldier. Maybe. And I'll be like, oh, it makes sense. Cause it also too, I didn't watch them in order. Like, so. No, maybe that's why. I don't know.
I get it. I definitely get it. And also like maybe I no, I'm just kidding. No, maybe because there are like those soft tones, like everyone's always said it for like years now, but a lot of people, especially in the fandom and the stans, have felt like they've kind of nuzzled at, you know, that kind of undertone gay relationship. And I think for a lot of us that would have been so refreshing, or even at least like some kind of tidbit of that would have been really cool. Like it was never going to happen, you know. I think we've all come to that realization now, especially seeing
maybe too, like just hinted feelings from both of them, like
and
like we've been together for so long. They're
just really great friends.
Yeah.
And
which is fine.
We'll have to accept that. No, that's great. Like it's always great to have that kind of relationship.
Yeah. A friend to the end of the line.
Oh, you remember that.
Is that from a movie?
It's from one of the Marvel movies, yeah.
Oh, I see. I don't know. I was just saying.
See, you pay attention to more than you let on.
But maybe too, I don't know. I like, and maybe you're right. I don't remember. I just was saying it to say it.
Yeah, no, I do that all the time. Where like I'll quote something, and then someone will be like, "Oh, that's from, you know, one of the things," and I'm like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, no, that's in the thing," and I was like, "Oh, I thought I made that up."
Like, oh, I thought I heard that. Like legitimately, I thought I had heard it from somewhere. So,
oh, that's funny. Where'd you get that from? My brain.
Ooh, geez, I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, that was from Scott Pilgrim.
No, I've never seen Scott Pilgrim.
We're definitely watching that also.
I'm down.
It's
We've
such
got a lot
a great
of movies
movie
to cover.
Oh my god. Anyway.
But yeah, no, I mean, and even too, like with his team.
That's funny. Chris Evans is in it. Sorry. Last side
note.
I
knew that. No, side note, I knew that. I knew that only because...
Lit.
Side note to that. Side note. No, I knew that because the Scott Pilgrim, it was like trending on Twitter. And he was doing his face.
They did a 10-year reunion.
Yeah, he was doing the face, I guess, his character makes. And I was like, that's how I knew that. Also, can we watch Fantastic Four, the better version with Chris Evans as a Human Torch?
Maybe.
What do you mean maybe? Are you saying maybe that it's the better version, or maybe we should watch it?
Yes.
Yes, just straight up yes. There's no if and or but.
It's gonna be a maybe for me.
It's gonna be a maybe for me.
Let's get through these Marvel movies first, and then we can regress.
Regress. Oh my goodness, gravy.
I love how I'm sitting here talking smack like I could write a better Marvel movie. I could. But we won't.
Yeah, we won't get into that.
We won't get into that. Y'all not ready for that conversation.
I feel like every critic or everyone who reviews a movie goes, "Oh yeah, I could do it better."
But and I mean, in hindsight, definitely. But coming up with something from scratch and having to put together bits and pieces of what you can and cannot use from different properties, that's hard. That's really hard. I honestly can't blame anyone for any of the early Marvel movies for what they tried to do, because ugh.
Oh yeah. Cause yeah. Another thing, I wish to go back. I wish they would have dived more into his team.
Yeah.
Because I don't know any of their names. I don't remember them. And it was he rescues these guys, and it's a ragtag group of guys. I wish we could have, even it was just a small little flashback to who they were or what they were doing before they got captured and they joined Captain America.
So, I didn't want to interrupt your thought. I feel like I've been doing that a lot, but just you know, they're called the Howling Commandos.
Okay.
And their names, if you're ready.
Okay. But you're gonna have to put a picture to the name.
We can't put pictures on a podcast. We can't put pictures on a podcast, Bree.
No, but you know what I mean. You're gonna have to be the mustached one is.
Okay. Of course there's Bucky Barnes. Duh.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Then there's Jim Morita, which is the Asian man from Fresno.
Okay. He's from Fresno?
Yeah, remember in the movie when the mustache guy, which is Montgomery, his name is James Montgomery. Oh wait, no, sorry, that's a different one. Hold on. So anyway, James Morita, he's the Asian one where the mustache guy's oh, they're just letting anyone join, the army. And the guy's I'm from Fresno. What the fuck? Don't be an asshole.
Oh, okay.
Remember?
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I remember.
Yeah, so there's him. Then there's James Montgomery Falsworth. And he's from, let's see. I had it right here. I think he's part of the Allied forces or whatever. I think he was French. I think he was the French one.
Oh, it was the beret guy?
Yeah. And then there's Gabe Jones. And that was the black guy that was supposed to be in the front, but he wasn't in the front.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was Bucky's spot.
But yeah, they're called the Howling Commandos. Those are just a few of them. Mm-hmm. And I definitely would have loved to see more of them as well.
Would you have loved to see... Do you think that there's enough on them that they could have had their own movie or a show?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Even if they took from the comics, I would have loved to see how they continued on serving for S.H.I.E.L.D. Because they probably became S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. I don't know if the Peggy Carter series ever touched on that. I don't think they were in the Peggy Carter series that much, if at all.
And
maybe one or two of them were.
Maybe we'll go back and watch was it Agent Carter?
Yeah,
is that
Agent
what this
Carter.
show's called? Maybe we'll go back and watch that once we're done with all the movies.
I'd love that.
And we'll maybe watch a couple of episodes or something. But
yeah.
Yeah, I think even if they couldn't have enough for their own standalone movie, maybe to have now with Disney Plus, maybe they can tap into that, or maybe it's too late. I don't know.
Who knows?
But
it'd definitely be interesting because I don't know if they're. I can't remember if in the comics Sam has any relation to the Howling Commandos.
Are you talking about Falcon?
Yeah. But it'd be definitely interesting for, Falcon and the Winter Soldier if they brought back some Howling Commandos storylines and things like that. I don't know how far in depth these shows are going to be on Disney Plus, but if they're having multiple seasons, that's something I would definitely be interested in.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I obviously we're now getting into a show that takes place after all the movies that we're going to be watching, but just as a quick side note, I think they already planned season one. Well, they obviously planned season one, and how it's going to go. But and they put, I think, a brief synopsis of it out there, but which I won't get into because we'll get into that when we watch the Falcon and Winter Soldier if it comes out. But if and when it comes out, I should say. But I think it'd be interesting, or even to have that flashback of their time fighting together, or whatnot. But I think they should have briefly gone over, to go back to what we were talking about. I think they should have gone over that team too, because it felt like, all right, we have this team, and they helped end World War II, and that was it. Like, we were never gonna hear from them again. And they did a whole lot together, and even the scenes that they did have were very brief, just moments with the Howling Commandos. So it would have been interesting to see more of them, or to get more out of their characters, because it felt like they were just there to be there. Yeah. And they were only there for such a brief amount of time.
Yeah. I definitely feel the same.
But even Stanley Tucci's character was only there, and I get it, because he's kind of sets up as a reminder to Steve to follow your heart and be the soldier that you are inside, or something like that. But
oh, you mean the part where he's caressing Captain America's boobs before he dies?
Yeah, his C cup.
Also, I'm so glad you brought up Stanley Tucci, because I just have to talk about this really quick. It makes me so uncomfortable, which just kind of it's more so credit to Stanley Tucci as an actor, but it makes me so uncomfortable when he plays really straight men, because he does it so well. When you see this man walking up to Steve in a lot of parts of the movie, you would never think that's Stanley Tucci. That's one of the things that stood out for me when I first watched the movie. I didn't even recognize him. I was like, who is this guy? This seems so familiar. How I've seen him before. I know this man, And I'm it's bothering me. I'm waiting for the end credits just so I can like find out who it was. And Stanley Tucci's name pops up. And I get this just like rush of just like, what the fuck? Because I go back to like, I'm so glad you mentioned it earlier while we were watching the movie, but I go back to like The Devil Wears Prada, and I'm just like, this is not the same man. Like,
well, even in Hunger Games too, like it was like, that's Stanley Tucci. Yeah. Like, and I feel like that's a credit to him as an actor that he's so versatile.
He's such a chameleon.
And you know his name, and you know who he is. Yeah. I mean, he's got such a big profile and a big resume that you're like, oh, I know he's a great actor, but like he really is so versatile and he's like a chameleon. Yeah. He really embodies himself in the role, and you forget like, oh my God, this is, I don't know if he won an Academy Award. I'm just going to say Academy Award winner Stanley Tucci, or Academy Award nominee if he even is. I assume, because he's a great actor.
I know he has to have won for something.
But too, I think it's a credit where you hear it, where you go, that's Stanley Tucci, and you go, oh my, really?
What?
Wow. I would have never guessed.
Is that real?
Is this allowed? Are you looking up to see if you won an Academy Award?
I am, because it's going to bother me if I don't.
Speaking of Academy Award movies, this movie came out a few years ago, and I want to watch it on the podcast, I, Tonya. Because I really like that movie. And I want to watch it again.
I'm down. It's just he has not won an Academy Award. He got nominated.
Okay, well, he's okay. I was right in the assumption that Academy Award nominee.
Yeah. He got nominated Best Supporting Role, Best Supporting Actor in The Lovely Bones.
That movie too was one of those movies where I watched it and then years later went back and was like, I couldn't believe that was Stanley Tucci. He was unrecognizable.
Also, side note, just so we're all aware, I wasn't calling Stanley Tucci gay or anything like that, but like he's very much owned his like, I feel like his metrosexuality, if that's fair. And like, it's always been amazing to me.
He's comfortable with who he is.
Yeah, no, he's very comfortable like as who he is. And I'm not trying to like pin him in a box or anything like that. I just want to make that known. I just love this man for how versatile he can be and how comfortable he is with, you know, not so much playing both sides, but leaning into his femininity and using that to power his characters. It's just really nice. It's really nice to see. So like
it adds an extra dimension to characters, and I think as an actor, giving an actor's perspective, I think what makes, because you know I'm an actor, is like what I like to say.
You are. I mean, if you've been in any, if you've done any classes or even gone to school like college for acting, you are an actor. Actors, you are trained by other actors to become an actor.
But just to give that, like, you know, as an actor, I think what really sells a character is when you add that extra 3-dimensional layer and you make them really believable and somebody could relate to that doctor in some way, like, oh, that doctor reminds me of my grandpa or my dad, and just this guy I knew that was very, that fatherly sort of figure, because he kind of is, that he ends up being like that fatherly sort of figure.
I want him to be my dad, like, and not even in like Stanley a sexual way, just like in like a real life way. Like I would just want to learn from him.
Yeah. I mean, and I think too, like having that touch of humanity is what makes a character, relatable and good, and what makes you a really good actor is if you can dive into these parts of yourself, and even if it is a small role, you're giving a little bit of yourself to the character that you play. But even too, like, well, if you compare like Chris Evans, obviously he's now synonymous with Captain America.
Yeah.
You think of Captain America, like just like you think of Iron Man, you think of Robert Downey Jr., you think of Captain America, and you think Chris Evans.
Which is so amazing to me. Like kind of going back. I know, I mean, I think I talked to you about this a little bit, but I've always said this from the very beginning. I did not believe Chris Evans would ever be a convincing Captain America. Like, when they had first announced it, when the movie was getting made, I know I told everybody, I was just kind of like, first of all, isn't that the guy from, like, Not Another Teen Movie?
I actually kind of like that movie.
It's funny. I like that movie, and I like him in that movie. But
you just think that he's like stock character A. Like,
yeah, like I didn't even say Fantastic Four. Like the first movie that came to my mind was that for him. And that just kind of goes to show how very wrong people can be until you give something a chance. Like from that point on, like I never judged, one, a Marvel movie, but two, any superhero movie after that until I saw it, because I was blown away. Like I was so enamored by Chris Evans, and I know I don't even know this man like really, but like I'm so proud of him for like, one, pushing the envelope for what it is to make these kinds of movies, because it can be very hard and it can be very like demeaning on your career afterwards, and I know that was a big problem for him.
Yeah, I saw that he was like nervous to take the role because of the fame that he was like, oh, this is gonna like really, if this movie takes off, it's really gonna elevate my status, and like I'm gonna lose a lot of privacy and things like that.
Yeah, and like I love that story of Robert Downey Jr. coming to him and just kind of being like, you got this. Like, you are Captain America.
Captain America.
I've never,
yeah.
like, you know, RDJ, like, that's something. Like, that's a compliment. So, like, you know, I'm really glad this was a success, because I was very doubtful. I was just like, no way. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, that ain't happening. And it did. And it was, you know, for like, you know, and this is Joe Johnson and the producers and Marvel and Kevin Feige as well. But like, they literally took the heap of the, not the heap of the barrel, but you know what I mean? Like the scrapes at the bottom of this really long lasting franchise of characters. And they did so much with them.
Yeah.
And it was such a thrill. Like this first kind of era of Marvel movies, like it was such a thrill to watch. Even some of the movies that I didn't care for, they were still fun and entertaining, and they were palpable and they were watchable, and they were still relatable. So
yeah, I mean too, it is, you know, I will say that this movie, not remembering a whole lot about it, it was enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, I've seen a lot of movies, and like, I don't want to be like, I'm a critic, because everyone's a critic. Everyone is, but for me, like, yeah, I think the pacing was at times fast or a little too slow?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Or actually not slow, but the whole movie I thought kind of was very fast paced, but it was a fun movie. And it was interesting to watch, and it was fun to go back to. And these are movies I believe, I think that you can go back at any point and watch and enjoy, no matter how many times you've seen it. You can always go back and root for Captain America. Yeah. But what I was trying to say with Chris Evans is that you could see the progression with him as Captain America, from this kind of like, for me, it was like, this sickly, skinny guy. And you could see him just really take that, like when he was in the car with Peggy, I've never been on a date with a girl before. I've never danced. And, to him being like, hey, we're still going to have that dance, right? To see that progression and to see that, I think he did a really, really good job with the role. And, he will always forever be synonymous with Captain America. Mm-hmm. And I think it's so interesting and it's so fascinating, but to go back and to see it now, knowing, kind of getting a glimpse of what the franchise ended up being and what the whole cinematic universe ended up being, like, you can tell he's Captain America from day one.
Oh yeah.
He really
cared even from the beginning.
He really cares. It doesn't falter from movie to movie. The only thing that does is you really do see the progression of character development. And you really do see Steve Rogers in the 40s as this kind of, I don't want to say happy-go-lucky, but this very like fight for what's right, to jumping forward, let's just say, to Infinity War, where he's now lived a long time and he's seen a lot of shit, and it's clearly obvious that he's experienced a lot. Yeah. And just to see that progression, I think now going back and us watching all these movies will be interesting. But it was like really like, oh yeah, you forget that like he's gone through all this stuff and that he's experienced what, like 100+ years now of life.
Just about.
Yeah. So I was like, it was like, oh, like, yeah, this is Captain America. Like, I don't know. It felt good. It felt fun to like go back. And I think that plays on the actor to be able to really give off that character development, not just from movie to movie, but from, moment to moment. Moment to moment. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a fun movie. There were parts I did not remember at all. And then parts I was like, oh yeah, I remember this.
There were parts that I feel like I needed a refresher on. Like, oh my God, Peggy. Like, I knew I loved Peggy Carter, I really did. But I forgot how much I loved Peggy Carter.
Yeah.
Haley Atwell is just a gift to mankind. I hope she hears this one day. But
I hope
she's
same.
just
I hope yeah.
She's just so, I feel like that was, you know, not the first like real time you saw a woman in power, but for me it was like she wasn't trying to like have this like feminist agenda. She just didn't take shit from anyone. Like,
yeah,
the way they like did her character, she just lived, and I don't know. I there was no like ulterior motive or like agenda for her. You know, it's just the first time you see this woman just having to deal with being around all these powerful men, literally one of the powerfulest men alive, and making him cower because he doesn't even know what fondue is.
Yeah. He thinks it's a romp in the hay. Hey.
But
a time.
Honestly though, if you look like Steve Rogers, you can get this fondue any day.
Are you talking about skinny Steve Rogers?
Honestly, at this point, I will take either. Yeah.
Post serum. Oh. Okay. Hey, then there's somebody for everybody.
I am not a heightus. Like.
Was it height or was it?
I mean, he was like 5. What? No, he was like 4'11" before the serum or something like that.
Okay, so fun fact. So, speaking of height, Chris Evans and Sebastian Stan are both the same height. I don't know how tall they are, but I was looking up facts, and they're the same height. And I guess to make Captain America seem bigger than he was, I guess. Yeah. They use perspective to make it look like he was taller than Bucky.
Yeah, I heard in some scenes with him, they gave him like these weird prosthetic like feet that made him taller too.
That's funny.
But that was a rumor. I don't know if that was like actually confirmed.
Oh, well, let's just confirm it as a rumor. And I saw that you looked at me.
Huh?
You gave me a look. I saw that you gave me a look.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I thought you were looking at me because I said, let's confirm it as a rumor.
It is confirmed.
I took a pause. It's confirmed as a rumor. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know, and we don't. Do we care?
Pow. I mean, no. It's still Chris Evans. Like.
Yeah, it's still Chris Evans. And this being the first movie that we're watching from, chronologically, I'm excited to see the full storyline of this Avengers universe take place.
Like this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, kind of since Captain Marvel. Yeah. And I'm very interested, which is funny. That's the next movie, by the way.
That we're going to watch.
We're going to get the captains out the way first. Yeah. But it's been something I've been wanting to do for a while. So like, it'll be really interesting to see like watching the story from actual start to finish the way it like kind of
how the storyline's supposed to play out.
I mean I'm not even supposed to play out because like they kind of have to backtrack a little bit too. You'll notice like that. They tied some things in later on, but how it all did play out.
Yeah. And I don't think that obviously we have to, even though Endgame is technically the final movie in terms of the Avengers. Spider-Man, we have to watch Spider-Man Far From Home. Yeah, because that shows the aftermath of everything that's happened
after the snap. Well,
yeah. Do you think
after the snap?
Yeah. Do you think that? Sorry, I have to burp. Hold on. Okay, sorry. I apologize.
Oh,
I apologize. Future me, who has to edit this, because you're gonna have to hear that. Do you feel that watching the movies in chronological order? Did I ask this? Does it add more weight to? No, I don't think I did. Do you think watching the movies in chronological order Do you think it gives more weight to the last two movies in terms of Infinity War and Endgame? Do you think it's more powerful that way? Or do you think if you watch the movies in order they came out and then watch Infinity War and Endgame, that's more powerful, right? Because technically Iron Man was the start of all of this. So if you watch it from Iron Man's beginnings to, spoiler alert, Iron Man's ends, is that more powerful, or is it more powerful to see Captain America, Steve Rogers, all the way up to the very end?
I don't know. I think we'll have. I think that's going to have to be a question for when we're done with this series. When we're done with this,
Yeah, this journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's going to be a long journey. Like,
it is.
We're doing this weekly, so stick in every week. We don't have a definitive day of the week, but tune in every week to hear this podcast. Hopefully we'll have an actual definitive day of when this comes out.
Yeah.
But we will be talking about the movies and our thoughts on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will be it'll be a journey.
I'm
season
very
1
excited
of this podcast.
I'm very excited for this because
yeah. And sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I don't know. I think this is like one of the most relevant topics that we're gonna probably be talking about, because how everything's changing for movies right now because of COVID, and this very much was an era of movie going that like brought a lot of people excitement, even non-comic book fans. So, kind of moving forward too, I feel like we're gonna have a lot of refreshers and moments where we can like then go back for this next era of Marvel and kind of be like, oh yeah, no, like I remember that now, or like, oh yeah, that was like fresh in my brain, or like, oh, we were just having a conversation about this and how this could, go on to later things. So I'm really excited for this. I'm glad we're doing this.
Me too. And we've been wanting to do a podcast for a long time, as we mentioned kind of in the beginning. We've been wanting to do a podcast for a while and didn't know what we wanted to do. And when this movie journey came up, it felt like the right thing at the right time. Yeah. And you're absolutely right with Marvel. And I think too with Star Wars, with those movies, that was an era of getting really excited to go to the theater to see these movies. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say live, but to see them as they first come out.
Yeah.
And with everything changing now because of COVID, that, who knows if the experience will be like that. It probably won't be. It'll be much different. But to say that you lived in a time where people got excited
to go out
to the movies. Well, not only to go out, but to go to the movies and waiting hours in line. Like I remember when Endgame was coming out and they were like, okay, so we're going to have every single Marvel movie, like a 12-hour marathon or something like that.
I went to a few of them actually.
Or not 12 hours, because each movie's roughly 2 hours, but it's like a 24-hour movie marathon of.
I went to the Marvel marathon that they had when the Avengers came out, and they showed every movie, and that took about 12 hours. We got there at like, me and my best friend Tyler, we got to downtown Disney at like 9 o'clock in the morning, 8 or 9 in the morning. We watched all the movies, and then the Avengers one premiered at, I think it was like 10 or 11. So it was roughly around midnight. Like,
oh wow.
Yeah, it took about 10 to 12 hours. It was.
And that was the first Avengers movie?
That was just the first, yeah. That was just what they called the phase 1. That was just phase 1 up to Avengers of Marvel movies. Wow. So it was definitely an experience.
Yeah.
And then I went to the Age of Ultron one too, and that was even longer.
Yeah. But I mean, like when people did that, like that's probably a thing that can't happen, nowadays in a post-COVID world.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say something and I completely forgot.
Sorry,
it had to do with this podcast. A little bit. Oh yeah, like this is. I feel like season 1 is Marvel. I feel like
I like that.
And each obviously like each podcasts we're talking about a different movie, but some podcasts we might not even talk about movies. We might just talk to talk. So
and maybe walk the walk, depending if we can get our equipment to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, so there's going to be a little bit of everything for everybody. This, we're going to be talking about movies, not just Marvel, but I think season 1 Marvel mostly. Who knows, during Halloween and Christmas time or the holiday season.
Yeah, I feel like we could have some like little specials.
Take a break. Yeah, take a break.
Maybe
and
like
watch
some 30-minute like specials of just like a movie that kind of celebrates the holiday or event.
The holiday season, absolutely. But so there'll be a little bit, so I feel like sometimes you just want to take a break. And you just want to hear, maybe we got something good to say, something interesting.
Thoughts. I mean, this is something we'll just work on. We might be just like do like 2 a week for the special, where like we're still working on Marvel stuff, but here's a special episode. So 2 episodes in a week for certain things.
The possibilities for this are endless. I would like to do some maybe live action stuff. Maybe it doesn't have to do with us particularly maybe watching a Marvel movie. Maybe us like going to a pumpkin patch, or when Avengers Campus opens up, going to Avengers Campus.
I'm down for that. I've been fortunate enough to have some friends, who are agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at Disney, so that'll be a lot of fun.
I've been an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. at my job.
You have?
I have. I mean, yeah, I've actually been an Avenger in training.
S.H.I.E.L.D. reaches to a lot of different places around the world.
Yeah. For sure.
I can't believe we're going Disney on them right now, Bree. Like, they'll learn that about us maybe in the next episode. Before we get started, we can give some back history about us.
You would think that the first episode would be like a get to know us.
No, I think they should wait. I think they should wait a bit.
You got to wait like either 2 or 3 episodes to really get to know us. Although, I mean, we did say that like you're here for America's ass, and I'm here because I'm Bucky Barnes stan. I almost said a Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan.
No, but I'm Bucky Barnes #1 stan. You're here for Captain America's ass, but there's more to us than that. There's more behind the.
We're very complex.
Yeah, there's more to the man behind the curtain, as they say. But yeah, I think this will be an interesting journey, and I'm excited to see where this goes and to see where it takes us. And for those of you who have tuned in for the whole thing, we do appreciate you so very much. Jimmie Smalls, what is your final thoughts on Captain America, the First Avenger, the movie?
My final thoughts. Just all around well done. It could have been worse. It could have been a lot worse. Like, kind of like what you said, it's not my favorite Marvel movie, even though Winter Soldier is one of my favorite Marvel movies. I think, like I said earlier, what they had to work with, and the timetable and just all the other like components and variables in making this a successful franchise, like this wasn't a bad movie to start off with. It did what it needed to do, and I've had many conversations where that kind of mindset isn't ideal. A lot of people don't agree with that. If you're going to do something, they feel like you should go all out. But sometimes just doing what's necessary goes a long way. So, So yeah.
Okay. And then my final thoughts, just because I might have edited some of our previous final thoughts, because we started rambling again. But my final thoughts were that, was this my favorite Avengers movie? No. Will my opinion change? Maybe. But I thought it was a good movie. Just good. Like you said, could have been great. Could have been worse. It could have been better. Could have been even better than better. It was a good movie. It was a good start to the kind of, I guess, the quote unquote timeline of these movies, if you followed them chronologically. But you know, I thought it was good. It was a fun and enjoyable film. But yeah, I think that's a great way to wrap this up. Next episode, we'll either be talking about ourselves, so you can get to know us, or we'll be talking about I almost said Captain America, Captain Marvel.
Or most likely a little bit of both.
Or a little bit of both, who knows? But for sure, within the next few episodes, we'll be reviewing Captain Marvel with Brie Larson. I'm excited. The other Brie.
The other
as
Brie.
I like to call her. Yeah, she's the other Brie. I'm not the other Brie. She can be the other Brie.
You're the original
I'll be
Brie.
Valentina. Yeah, I'll be Valentina. She'll be Larson.
Lit.
It's all Gucci. We've already established. But thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
We hope you enjoyed.
Yeah.
You can check out this podcast definitely, I believe, on Apple. I'm jumping the gun here. If this doesn't happen, I apologize. It will eventually be on Apple Apple Podcasts or iTunes Podcasts.
What about Spotify? I have Spotify.
It might be on Spotify. We're setting it up through Anchor, which is owned by Spotify. So I don't know if it quite goes on there yet, but you can check it out on Anchor. You can check it out on YouTube at youtube.com/Brie Valentina. Maybe we'll have a dedicated channel to this.
I think we should.
We should. We just don't have it yet. So you can check it out at Brie Valentina at youtube.com/Brie Valentina, since we already have that set up. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Brie Valentina, and with me, as always, is
Jimmie Small.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Hey.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.